Hello and welcome to this week's coffee vlog. It's Friday the 4th of December and we're off to work. It's another morning one, and yes, I have done that again. So it's been quite a hectic week, to be perfectly honest, but funnily enough, I mean, work's been hectic, but my busiest period was actually last weekend, and therein lies a bit of a tale. So quite possibly the entire of this vlog is just going to cover what happened last weekend for me. Not that it's particularly entertaining for anyone, but I think it's an amusing story, so why not tell the tale? So so last Friday, all good, and Friday evening was getting sorted to upload last week's vlog and just relax after work and whatever, and the missus's sister turns up and they're chatting away, and she says, the sister says, oh, Mum's got a new TV. Nice. But they haven't got anything to stand it on because the stand that they had is too narrow for the TV that they've got now. TV's too big. So Mrs. helpfully says, oh well, we were going to get rid of our TV cabinet because we're wall mounting the TV and building like a little media centre under it. Now you may recall I got a new 49-inch Sony TV probably about 3 or 4 weeks back now, and the old ones started playing up. Well, it's been playing up since March, but I eventually decided it had its day. And the plan was then we got a wall mount bracket at the same time, because they're all linked together on Amazon when we got it. But to be honest, I was going to wait till Christmas to do it because we shut between Christmas and New Year at work. So I'd have a clear run at doing that and also building this fascinating construction for all the gadgets, the Virgin Media, PS4, Mac Mini and Sony surround sound. So they measured up our existing cabinet, which we would eventually get rid of course, and oh yeah, that'll be just perfect. Just amazing, isn't it? Just perfect size. So the missus are like, oh well, it was really expensive. Well, they'll have to pay something towards it because I was, we're going to resell it on. Like, oh yeah, they'll have it, but they need it as soon as possible because the TV's on the floor because it doesn't fit on. So cue Saturday morning, hunting out the bracket that I'd tucked away in the back of Beyond, so it wasn't needed. Hunt through all my tools to find out that because the last two TVs I mounted on a wall were 32 inches and the brackets that went up only needed an 8mm masonry bit. So I'd got a couple of 8mm masonry bits, and then of course you come to the kit and it's a 10mm bit you need. As you're going up to, this one does like the 40s to 60s range, so obviously it needs to carry a heavier load. So needed to get a bit for that, but of course as well I'd got to create something to put all the stuff in. Now all I'd got to go on, and the missus had shown me a picture she'd found online of this like cabinet, so 2 long black shelves with dividers and a middle shelf for all the media stuff. So basically she wanted that, but the key thing about it is that it had to fit the gap. So the wall in the living room has a fireplace with like a chimney bit, but obviously we don't use the chimney now. There's just like an electric fire thing that we don't use either really, and it just covers up the hole, to be honest, there. And then obviously it's recessed either side because of the chimney sticking out. And so the idea was to have the have this media shelf come out the width of that recess. So it would come out from the wall as far, so it lines up with the sticking out bit of the sort of fireplace and chimney, and then it would go all the way across to the far wall, so it would cover all the way across there, which is 162 centimetres, or quite long. So Julie went off to B&Q in the afternoon, once we'd sort of puzzled over everything, with some measurements and a vague idea of what I might be wanting. None of this is pretty much the ideal way to go about constructing something. Vague ideas from pictures and a few measurements. Probably a good recipe for disaster, if I'm fair. Add into the recipe for disaster a 5-year-old, and then there is no chance you're going to do anything right, or get anything you want. You're trailing around B&Q with a 5-year-old who's trying to grab hold of everything. Of course, they've got the Christmas display on, the dancing little fluffy Christmas tree thing. I want one of them. No, we're not here for Christmas tree. I ended up getting a minion lamp because he had Kevin and Stuart and he needed Bob, and Bob was there, so we ended up getting this little LED minion lamp, so he has a set of 3. And illuminating Spider-Man thing, little rubbery Spider-Man thing as well. I mean, I ended up with those, but I managed to just about stop him getting anything else had to do with that. Looked at proper shelves, finished shelves or whatever else, but of course nothing's going to the length that we needed it for. So off to the sort of the MDF and wood section, and I'm puzzling over what I'm going to get. And you know, the youngest is trying to attack everywhere and disappear and whatever else, and I'm trying to look at wood and work out measurements and things. So I ended up getting a couple of bits of MDF, a couple of bits of, I think it might be 1x2 battens. Just I thought maybe if I needed some bracing and bits and pieces. So I got a sheet of MDF that, in theory, it was more than long enough, just, and it was sort of double the width I needed, so I could use it for top and bottom. Then I got a second smaller bit that was slightly thicker grade for the shelving. Now, I can't honestly remember, because I was very distracted, if there was that thicker grade in the size that I needed for the full length shelf bits or not. I can't, you know, it's a bit puzzled, because I was looking at that full length piece I got. I wasn't thinking it was going to fit in the car, if I was honest. I was looking at it and that might be a pinch, that. I mean, it did. I mean, it was sitting, I was bashing my elbows off it from back to front, but it did fit. But I can't remember if it was thicker grade or not, but that's by the by now at the moment. So anyway, so after we'd been out and done where we'd got to go to, B&Q, and I got some other places to do, so I've got all these bits. I went back home and then commenced the mounting TV on the wall. Now, I don't know if anyone's ever mounted a TV on the wall before. The first thing that strikes you is the instructions clearly state in big letters, only to be fitted by professionals. Yeah, and not numpties. So you get the instructions, and then you look at the instructions and you think, right, okay, so 4 holes for the thing, stick it on the wall. But of course then we're putting it on the wall in a corner, so the TV is going to be across the corner, and where you position, obviously, although it swivels around a bit, the arm for the TV, it's critical to get the positioning along right, because of course you've got to account for the width either side of the TV when it's actually up. It's a 48-inch TV. 48, 49, I get confused, I can't remember what it was now. It's something in that region anyway. So I had to like try and work out with some wood and sort of holding the wood up to the bracket and bracket on the wall and sort of line it where it would go. So we got a rough idea of the position. Of course, the height of it, you think, oh, it's high, it's the right height there, but you've got to remember, in fact, that the bracket mounts near the bottom of the TV screen on the back, not in the middle, near the bottom. So in fact, when you're positioning it on the wall, oh yeah, that's a nice height, when it's mounted on the bottom, you could be touching the roof with a telly, or it won't fit at all. And I don't want to drill hundreds of 10mm holes in the wall, to be honest, because it's not fun. So managed to account for all that. Thought this should, there's a lot of fudging going on in this general build thing. It's obvious I'm not a finished tradesman in this sort of stuff, but yeah, got it lined up, did my pencil marks, leveled it using just a tape measure from the wall, and then my phone level, because I didn't have a level with me, phone level along the side of the thing, just to say, yeah, it's pretty straight, that I think, probably. Lined up the holes and set about drilling, and the bottom 2 holes were a nightmare. Took ages. Now admittedly, when you're drilling holes, it helps if you're a bit stocky and carry a bit of weight and probably a bit of height as well. I'm just short and fat, so that doesn't really help you when you're drilling. I'm pushing against it, but I'm not giving it that much force to push, and so it took ages for the bottom 2, and the bottom left one kind of went off on its own way, as drill bits tend to sometimes when you're doing that. You want to go through this hole here and somebody ends up going, yeah, that way. Had a break then, because obviously I'm doing it in the living room and it's kind of annoying. The 2 boys, who are the eldest, desperately trying to entertain the youngest. Desperately. The youngest hates loud noise at the best of times, so of course he's completely not happy about me drilling. But there's not a lot you can do, is there, really? So had a bit of a break and had a look at the sort of the bracket to mount the TV, which I'm puzzling about fitting on, but it's another story. And then went back to do the top 2 holes, and they went in like butter. The top 2 ones straight in, which is not a good thing, really, is it? Because obviously I hit the mortar joint between the bricks with the light. I mean, how would you know? But I mean, that's got to be why they went in so easy compared to the bottom 2. So I was a bit concerned about that. I just, like, they went vroom, vroom, straight in. But I was kind of at the point, because we're getting on for 7 o'clock on Saturday night now, and I'm kind of like the right. So we'll see how the raw plugs go in. Put the raw plugs in. They need hammering in. They're rock tight in there. So I'm thinking, all right, you got in the mortar joint, but the bricks are keeping the mortar in place and everything together there anyway, and the raw plug's tight in that, and it's going to hold it in. And obviously, the bolts are massive that are going in to hold this wall bracket on. They're massive, and you think when you're putting a weight on, it's pulling down. You've got a number of factors. It's not pulling stuff out, it's going to try and pull those bolts so they're going upright, which they're not going to do because they're in a solid piece of brick. So in reality, the raw plugs are tight, those big long bolts are going to go in right tight, it should be fine. And the TV's not actually that heavy. I could lift it myself, well, I did do, holding either side, and hold it up to get it up onto the bracket. So it's not, a real heavy lump of a thing. I'd probably say it'd only be about 25 kilos, to be honest. So it's not a massive weight, and obviously these things are designed to hold much more weight. So I put the bolts in. It took some time because I didn't have a socket, so I wasn't doing this, so I didn't have the things I needed properly. So I was using a adjustable spanner, which is far from ideal, but screwed them all in, then set about putting the mount together, which is obviously, it's got a single piece and then 2 like butterfly wings that go either side. So I got the TV laid back down to take the base off, and then trying to line it up. Obviously the single piece isn't in the right place for the holes. It's got the right mount for the TV because it was linked to it, and I also got a kit of extra screws for it. And then, so I put the wings on the mount as the instructions for the mount said, and they weren't right either. I could get it to line up, but there'd be bits of the metal bracket dangling down from, well, showing from the bottom of the TV, and I'm like, well, that's no good. We don't want that. And I haven't got a hacksaw to chop those bits off that are extra there, which I'm sure you're not meant to do anyway. So I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, well, hang on, why can't I? Will they line up if I put the mounts on the other way round? So the side on, so I put the mounts top and bottom. Well, the hole, because the main bit is square, so in theory if the holes fit this way for the screws and bolts for that, I'll do it the other way. So I tried it the other way, and although it doesn't mention it anywhere in the instructions, it does line up that way, and then it also lined perfectly, not perfectly, because the wings, instead of being the right way, one had to be downwards, so build like, yeah, down along. So I did some creative adjustment with that, and I made it fit right. Probably a brave thing to do with a pretty new big TV that you're going to dangle off some metal, but it, you know, they all lined up with the Visa mount holes. Put the Visa mount holes in. I ended up using half of the extra mount kit that I got, the special mount kit, because 2 bolts I found out of the probably 15 or 16 that were in the box with the mount, wall mount. 2 of them actually did fit the threads in the TV, and then there was another 2 that did fit from the other kit I got. So and I think that other kit was like £6 for a few bolts and bits and pieces of risers, but it was essential because I needed 2 of the bolts out of it. 2 were a bit too long, so I just used some spacers and extras that were in the box with the main wall mount to just pad them out a bit, just so that fitted nice and tight, basically. So got all that done. The mount on the back up the ladder, holding the TV, sweating profusely by this time, of course, and Mrs. behind, and I'm trying to explain to her that I need to latch the fitting that's on the TV. It's got a little hanging out bit, then you click it over a little sticky up bit, and then it drops through some screw holes, and you bolt it on at the back to keep it nice and tight. I'm trying to explain that she's got to point out where that is from behind the TV, because I can't see it because I'm in front of the TV holding it and sweating. And it took a few goes, but we managed to just get it slipped on. And then I'm like, is it on? Yeah. Are you sure? I don't know. If I let go and it isn't on, it's going to be an expensive mass of bits. Or I'm probably going to have sore toes actually as well. But it was on, and so got it on, and it was up, and it's still up after nearly a week. So managed to wall mount the TV, and this is like 7:30 on a Saturday night, and then we had to go shopping, and then I got back and then mess about a bit and get the kid to sleep. So at 10 o'clock Saturday night, after the youngest is asleep, cue the music of me heading into the kitchen with some MDF, a jigsaw, a tape measure, a pencil, a couple of bags of screws, a drill and some screwdrivers to start constructing what would basically be holding all our bits and pieces of digital gubbins, so that we could then get them out of the media cabinet, which is, well, going. So yes, 10 o'clock at night I started that malarkey, measuring up and cutting and putting bits together and drilling and screwing holes together. 3 o'clock in the morning I finished that epic journey. Pretty much it went smoothly. The only issue we ended up with, and this goes back to the MDF, I don't know if it was thicker grade, I must have chosen slightly too thin MDF for the length. And there's a slight bow in what I made, and it's only very slight, but you know, I've not really accounted for the fact the surround sound system is a pretty heavy lump, and the PS4 is surprisingly heavy as well. The Virgin box is too bad, and the Mac Mini is obviously not particularly heavy at all, but all of those are in the centre, and of course it's held at either end mainly. I did some bracing along the back thing, but the trouble is, of course, there's no help for the the middle front of it, and all that weight was making it just bad. It just wasn't thick enough wood. That's the thing. The MDF just not quite thick enough for the length. But you know, if I'd had more time, you know, to think about it, and hadn't been on my own with the youngest in B&Q, I'd have probably paid more attention to that sort of stuff as well. So I built it, and it went up, and I managed to get everything in it, and it looks very good. In fact, people have been coming all week looking at it, and I mean, like, we want one of them. That's fantastic. I'm not building anyone one of them. Especially not starting at 10 o'clock at night. Oh, and especially not using cans of Yazoo milkshake packs of 4 Yazoo milkshake as the lifting points for the jigsaw, because as it got later on and I was chopping, I kind of paid twice as much attention. I'm going along and I think, suddenly this jigsaw ring's a lot harder than it used to be. Cut a couple of cans of Yazoo in half, that's why. Milkshake and sawdust in your kitchen, not fun. So yeah, there was much cursing about that little episode. So I got that built anyway, the media centre thing. But the issue with the bowing, and and ahed about, well, I said, well, I'll have to go back and find some stronger grade wood, because funny enough, we'd need that wood anyway, because we're going to do the same on the opposite side of the chimney breast, so that there's one either side anyway. So, and that's a bit narrower, so I'd get away with using that MDF on there, and we won't be putting heavy stuff in as well, so there wouldn't be the bowing issue particularly. And then the missus managed to hunt down at the first part of this week an actual proper media thing with finished black wood that is the right length. It's going to fit in. That's the key thing. You're going to find that length. So we ordered that. It's a floor one though, so I'm going to have to modify it to get it to fit up mounted on the wall in this bit. So, and obviously I'm going to have to account for all my cabling and bits and pieces. So that's this weekend's fun job. But I got it all in, so the TV cabinet was ready Sunday, and then went off to its new owner. So I wasn't expecting to be doing any of that, and that's what ended up happening. So that was really, I mean, that pretty much encompassed my whole weekend, because like I say, I spent all the Saturday night getting all that and putting it in, and Sunday we're out. Well, the missus had an operation on a foot Sunday, so that put us out of action all pretty much day Sunday. Sunday night I think I was just wiped out in the end and just crashed. So this weekend I'll be redoing all of that work again to do the new thing, and also make sure I get all the holes and bits and pieces for that. I managed to pick up some really nice laptop cooling stand. I mean, they're dirt cheap. I think they're like £4 each. I think I found them on Amazon. These ones with three little fans in them, but they've also got blue LED lights as well, just for a nice finishing touch. And so I got those to stand the PS4 and the Mac Mini on, because both get pretty warm. And I thought the blue LED lights would look good as well. So I mounted those, got those yesterday and positioned them. They're just USB powered, and they actually look really good. The only problem, because they're quite thin plastic, the Mac Mini isn't where the feet are. The weight isn't where the feet are. It's smaller, narrower than it, and it bows a bit and then makes the fan scrape. So a Lego 4 brick just in the middle of that one just kept that one nicely up. But other than that, they look really good actually, because they're going in that sort of recessed cabinet shelves, and then the blue from the LED lights transfers, because it's clear plastic that the stand's made of. It comes out of that a bit like a fibre optic would. So there's blue shining out all around the edges of it as well. So they look really smart. I'm quite impressed with those really. So I've got them running just off a USB plug, which is funny, it's a plug that came with the dash cam charger plug that came with the dash cam. And then I've ordered a little 5-volt USB switch with a remote, so I'm going to wire that in. So instead of having to like try and unplug and unplug them all the time, I'll just wire it so I can use a remote just to turn the fans off when we don't need them overnight or whatever. and just have them on another day when we know we're doing a lot of hard work with them. So that's pretty much it. So that's my exciting media experience of last weekend. I told you it was going to be a long one. So next week will probably be less about that and something more interesting. But other than that, oh, Star Wars Battlefront, been getting some gaming in. PS4 TV is excellent, really enjoying that. I'll probably cover that more next week. But yeah, it's just like being sat in front of the PS4 downstairs, but upstairs, which is just perfect now. So I've been getting some good playing on. Managed to figure out some bits. I'm actually not as rubbish. I'm still rubbish, but not as rubbish. Getting some kills in, not getting killed so much. So that's good as well. So yeah, have a good weekend and a week next week, and I'll catch you on next week's coffee vlog.